Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stream and Terror. I was still going to say coffee stream. Oh my god. This is number 7, and I'm still saying coffee stream. Welcome, everyone, to Stream and Terror. Today I'm joined by Interscare.
Hello, everybody.
So,
Thank you for having me.
thank you for joining me. Good evening, Sydney and Interscare Wifey.
Yes, special shout out to Interscare Wifey. I
Totally
wouldn't be able to do what I do without her.
very true. She goes and finds the stories for you.
Yeah, she finds like 99.99999% of all of my stories. She is so amazing.
I have to go do it the old school way, which is do it myself. Which is fine. It is what it is. So we have a poll for anyone who is watching live to vote on what stories you would like to read. We've got Fictional, Glitch in the Matrix, Let's Not Meet, and Paranormal. But if there's another story type that you would like specifically, if you put it in the chat atting at me, then I'll know something else that you guys want to listen to as well. So I just always think those are good picks. So I can read. Apparently, Interscare Wifey doesn't see a poll. Aww. Just type what you want, Interscare Wifey. I'll make it work. I have ways. Won't talk about my ways.
That little pouting emoji. It's like her favorite emoji.
I mean, it is a good emoji. I mean, it is. There we go. Yeah, you should be able to share this on your channel as well.
Yeah, if you just like copy the link and then you can post it in
You can
your
also-
like community tab.
Well, you can also hit the share button too. We'll do that because for my other channel, if I try to send a live stream, it doesn't work properly. But if I hit the share button, it does. I don't look the gift horse in the mouth. At least I found a way around the glitch in the Matrix.
Right. YouTube has so many glitches like that. It's kind of sad for a multi-billion-dollar company.
Well, I mean, if you don't have glitches, are you really living? The glitches just bring the spice to life.
Right? But that's only in the Matrix. YouTube isn't a Matrix.
It's a Matrix of video games or videos. Again, my brain's not working. She a little fried right now for some reason. Alright, I will get to the first story. So, I'm going to do a paranormal story for you guys. So it's Weird Noises in the Woods by J.H. Binico, I think is how you pronounce that. When I was in high school, about 15 years ago, a group of friends and I were hanging out at our friend Dale's house. For some backstory, we live way out in the country, as technically part of the Apalachia. And the kind of middle of nowhere where the nearest neighbors are a few miles up the road. Dale happened to have a cave near his property that he liked to explore and be dumb teenagers in. To get to this cave, you have to walk roughly a mile through dense woods and cross a big field. We had yet to find the end of this cave system despite exploring it for hours and multiple times. One day, we were spending pretty much the afternoon exploring the caves, and it got dark by the time we emerged. We already had our flashlights on, so it was no big deal. My memory's a little fuzzy on exact details, but for some reason our friend Sam decided to go back to the house a little earlier. I want to say we had ordered pizza or something, and he went to meet the deliverer. The rest of us started making our way back through the woods to Dale's house when we started hearing voices in the woods. We asked each other if we all had heard it and where it came from, but we each had different directions on where we thought it came from. It was like a child's voice, and it sounded like talking or whispering, but you couldn't make out what was being said. At this point, we thought one of our friends was messing with us and started to talk back to it. It sounded like a child giggling, then our flashlight started flickering and dying. We had one dim light left to get the rest of the way back. We all thoroughly were freaking out, prank or not, and hightailed it back to that house, adrenaline pumping. We all got in the house, shut the door, and felt a sense of safety for a split second before a crucifix on the wall literally came off and broke on the floor. It literally seemed like something out of a bad horror movie. But we all watched it legitly come off the wall and crash to the ground with no apparent reason. Before that moment, I hadn't been convinced it wasn't our friend Sam that was messing with us, even though he really isn't that type. We all started word vomiting at Sam, trying to explain what had just happened and questioned if he had something to do with it, but he generally seemed freaked out and confused. He actually said that it was on his way back to the house earlier. He kept hearing weird things and seeing lights in the woods, and he thought he was that we were trying to play a prank on him. I don't know what it was. Maybe our friend's a great actor, but I honestly don't think it was a prank. The feeling I got in the woods, like every hair was standing on end, goosebumps on my goosebumps, and every fiber of my being screaming to run. I've never felt like that again, and I never want to. That's that story. Hello, Alex.
Yeah, pretty creepy.
You don't go in the woods. It's dark. It's a bad idea. It's never a good idea. There it is.
Definitely creepy. Yeah, don't go in the woods by yourself, especially if it's like creepy haunted woods like that.
Exactly. This is why you stay in the safety of your house at all times, 24/7. Don't even go to work.
Yeah, yeah. Stay in your home. Don't go anywhere. Evil Outcast, what's up, man?
Hey, Evil, welcome. I also think of that because I have told this before, but my house has actually literally been hit by a truck. The house won. So even your house sometimes isn't safe.
That's hilarious.
Oh, I now know that if my house has to fight against a truck, it's fine.
Speaking of trucks hitting things, my last car crash was a head-on collision with a semi.
Oh, I think you told me about that. That's freaking scary.
Yeah. It was in a little Ford Fiesta. I walked away with just a little scratch on my arm somehow.
Lucky. We call in my house we call that the horse shit up your ass working.
Right.
Yeah, semis are like any crash with a semi is scary. I actually know of a coworker of mine's brother who passed away due to a semi hit. So, at least there was a semi involved. I don't know if the semi was the cause for him to pass away. He was the only one to pass away in the 7 or 8 car crash.
Wow.
It was a freak accident that for him to have passed. So yeah. Happened just before Christmas, just after Christmas last year. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's sad. I hate to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I slid on black ice and I went into the other lane and it was a head-on collision. Bumper to bumper.
Never a good idea to go into that lane. It's just a terrible idea, but the black ice had another idea, I guess.
Right.
It's like, you know what would be a really good idea? Hey, the other lane. How about I don't do that? Does that sound better?
And then the ambulance came and they were like, hey, you need to be checked out. I'm like, nope, I'm good. They're like, no, we're forcing you to get checked out. Okay. I get in the ambulance and they're like, there's nothing wrong with you. I'm like, I told you.
I told you so. But it's still a good thing to get checked out just in case there's a head injury or something you're not aware of.
Yeah, for sure. Which honestly, knowing me nowadays, there probably was. but got it. Just ask Wifey, she'll tell you.
Yeah, sometimes he just starts muttering to himself and starts telling random stories. I've got no idea what's going on.
He has this delusion of being like some YouTuber or something, but hilarious.
But the computer's never on. It's always off. Conspiracy theories.
He's up in the room right now talking to nothing. He's not like he thinks he's on a stream right now. No.
Well, that one I can tell is not true. You are on a stream right now.
How do you know my delusions?
Because it's all of our delusions. Every narrator's delusion. We're not really doing this.
Isn't life just one big delusion? Like how can we tell that it's not? You know?
Truth be told,
You
that is
can't
one of
prove
my
it.
worst fears. To find out that everything I think is real is actually just me being literally crazy.
Yeah, you can't prove it's not.
So I did a Glitch in the Matrix stories last month, and I had one woman, her phone just poofed on her. She had it in her hand, it was dead. She doesn't remember where she put it down. And it's like one of my worst fears. And I had this person going, like, your worst fear is you losing your phone? I'm like, no, my worst fear is putting something down and never finding it again. It's not the fact that it was a phone. It's like this, you put it down, and she like literally said she stripped her whole house looking for this phone and she never found it. And I'm like, and that's one of my worst fears, because I literally start thinking I'm going crazy. That's why.
Right.
So yeah, it was just like, I'm like, and I tried to tell him, I'm like, it wasn't the phone, it was losing something that you had just put down and you literally look everywhere and can't find it. That's one of my worst fears. But they weren't hearing it. I was like, okay, I'm not responding to you anymore. I'm like, I'm done. We're good.
Well, speaking of that, I remember from my childhood, I remember having a PlayStation 2, and I had just gotten a memory card for this PlayStation 2, and I was carrying it from my bedroom to the living room, and I dropped it on the floor, and it literally disappeared.
Oh no.
I have never found that PlayStation 2 memory card. It was at my grandparents' house, and my grandparents have since moved. They've stripped that entire house. They've remodeled that house. They've done everything, and that PlayStation memory card still has not been found. 20 years later.
Jeez. Yeah, and did you have many games on it?
No, it was a brand new memory card.
Well,
I literally took it out of the packaging, and it because it was like that hard plastic packaging that they used to do.
Yep. They still
and
do.
It fell out of that packaging, and that's why I dropped it, and it just disappeared.
And see, that's one of my worst fears. Like, something just like, okay, where to go? And you just never find. It's like, how is that possible? Especially when there's no animals around, too. So it's like, it should have reappeared. Ugh. Yeah, it's the hard packaging.
Agree.
Yeah, the hard packaging. Some things still come in it, and every time I'm like, I'm not buying this. Every time, like, I'm not buying this. This packaging, no. I have nightmares as a child of your packaging. We're done.
Oh, that's a good question from Interscare Wifey.
We'll read it. As narrators from Interscare Wifey, any types of stories scare you the most, or at least creep you out? That one's hard. I actually read a story about a dog and dying, and it didn't affect me in any way. But yet the one about the woman losing her phone did. Like, that one actually did creep me out. But that was a true story, while the dog one was a fiction one, so. What about you?
Mine is anything involving children. You know, like whether the child is the scary thing, or if something is happening to a child.
Yep.
Like, say, like a kid is writing a story because they were home alone and something happened. You know, like, as a parent, that really freaks me out. but also backwoods stories really get to me sometimes because like I love or I grew up in West Virginia, right, which is all backwoods. Like that entire state is nothing but backwoods. So backwoods stories really freak me out because like I grew up in that environment and just knowing what I was around my entire life is like mind blowing.
See, woods don't scare me all that much, but I also did grow up with like woods like right outside. Like the fence was there, you went over the train tracks and it was just woods and a river and everything. And woods don't scare me
Yeah.
as much. Home
Well,
invasion.
my backyard was all woods, but like what freaks me out about it, I guess, is knowing that I was living right there. Plus, West Virginia is like known for like Mothman and like Bigfoot sightings and like things of that nature. So like it's a big cryptid state.
Yeah.
So I guess that's why it kind of gets to me because like I know that a lot of those stories are real, you know?
Yeah. No, I get that actually. Yeah. No, I would again stay in your house. Don't even go to don't even leave to go to work. You'll be fine. Apparently, Interscare Wifey says home invasions cause me days of insomnia and Phoenix horror narrations. Evil Outcasts asks, what are the best and worst stories you've ever written / narrated? And I actually have an answer for this. It never went on my channel. I was reading a story about an ice truck killer, and it was the beginning was really good, but by the time I got to the end, it just like dropped the ball and just was like terrible. I was like, I can't read this story to everyone. That hands down is the worst story I've ever read in my life.
Oh, wow. I think the best one that I've ever read, it was actually on one of my Creepy Encounters episodes. It was about this middle school aged girl who had really, really strict parents.
Mm-hmm.
So she was going to cut class one day with a couple of her friends, and they go to this gas station at the beginning of school. Well, this girl just had a gut feeling that she shouldn't be there. And she got mad because her friend was like talking on the phone and like organizing all of these other girls
Yep.
to do things. And she got mad because she thought that it was just supposed to be her and her two friends out skipping school for the day. So she ends up going back to school after they get to this gas station.
And with some
Well, it turns out,
random car show up, wasn't it?
yes, a car shows up.
I read this
Turns
story as
out-
well.
Turns out this girl's friend was one of Jeffrey Epstein's
Recruiters.
girls that got kids from, recruiters that got kids from school. So she had barely missed a Jeffrey Epstein encounter.
Yep, I remember that story. That was such a good read, and I am so proud of her for trusting her gut. It was so
Absolutely.
good. I was like, you realized it was a bad situation. You got out of there. What was promised was incorrect. I am so proud of you for not, like, and her friends went into the vehicle and she didn't, if I remember correctly as well. She's the only one who left. All the rest went, if my memory is correct. It's been a while since I read it.
Yeah. And I think that story is actually the number one most upvoted story on r/creepy encounters now.
I think so too. I remember narrating it and just like being like, oh my god, this girl is so friggin' lucky and so smart. I am so proud of her. It is people like it's you have to trust your gut. When your gut tells you get the hell out of there, the worst comes worst, you're gonna make a fool of yourself and maybe make your friends upset with you. But best case scenario, you got yourself out of danger you didn't even know you were in, and she got herself out
Absolutely.
of danger she didn't even know she was in.
Yeah, for sure.
And then so yeah, that'd be one of the best stories I ever read as well on my channel. The problem is with me, I've read at this point so many, it's hard to I only keep track of like maybe 2 or 3 weeks that I've read things, and then I'm like, oh, that's gone.
Honestly, I generally read them and forget them unless they're big stories like that Epstein story that really stick with me.
Yeah, that one was. I even kind of remember which thumbnail I picked because I was very careful. I wanted to pick something that was like a girl like being freaked out. Like I remember the thumbnail I wanted for that one had to be really particular too. I think it's part of the reason I remember it so well. Yeah, so that'd be one of the best stories I've read. I've as for true stories, I've read a lot of really good ones where people trust their gut. I actually had one where a woman actually was being trafficked with drugs involved, and that was not like the best written story, but it was one of the best stories I ever read because it actually showed how people really can traffic people. It's not just how people think. So that one, like, it wasn't the best written, but the story itself was so good, and just like be able to, like, this is kind of things you have to, where they're taking control away from you, where they're taking your money. These are the things you need to be careful about. This, when you can't just leave, that's when you're in danger. And she got herself out very, very luckily. So
good.
But any big plans for the New Year's? Asks Interscare Wifey, and also welcome Jeffrey.
Do you have any big plans for the new year?
Not at this moment, no. I don't know.
I actually don't at the moment either. I need to get something planned.
Yeah, I kind of, the only like plan is to, I was reading the story, let me find the actual title for it because it's a complicated title, but it's worth it. I search for things people are too scared to believe in. I want to get part 3 and 4 done for that. That's the only like bigger plans I have. I've done part 1 and 2 and the secret part that I just happened to read as well, as I call it. So.
Oh yeah, Interscare Wifey reminded me. I'm gonna start live streaming again. I haven't live streamed in several months now, but I'm gonna start again around New Year time.
Yes, you have one.
I might do another. What is it?
You have one more stream this year because I saw last stream of 2023.
Oh, that's with Phoenix on Phoenix's channel. But I mean, like on my channel, I probably haven't streamed in, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. So I'm going to start doing that again because I love streaming on my channel and reading stories and interacting with my audience and stuff. And I can't wait to start that again. And I want to do another New Year's stream like I did last year with all of the different narrators coming on and bringing in the New Year together and stuff. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun last year. All the narrators doing things. I've gotten better at live reading, so I wouldn't be so scared to do a recording this time. I hadn't live read before then, and I was like, I stumble over my words so bad, though.
Everyone does when you live read. Just gotta learn not to get worried about it.
Yeah, you're gonna
just continue on. Nobody cares.
Yeah. The only problem is when I'm like, okay, hold on, how I read that, this sentence doesn't work. Let me reread that sentence real quick.
Yeah.
Did you want to read the next story? Creeping.
Yeah.
Let's Not Meet Our Creeping Encounter. Okay, go right ahead.
Yep, that works for me. This story is entitled "Make Sure to Always Lock Your Doors," written by Nick the Dog Dad. 23-year-old guy here. I live in a pretty safe neighborhood and usually always lock my doors. Last night, I apparently didn't. It was not too long after I had taken my dogs out for the last time and was turning off the TV and lights when one of my dogs started growling.
There was a creepy guy at my door.
Not too weird, since he sometimes does that when people walk by the house. He only does it to certain people, not everyone. I then heard the front door open and someone walk in. My dog then started barking. My other dog, who loves all people, came running from the other room to greet our guest. At the same time, I was reacting to what was happening and went, "What the heck? Who are you?" Standing in the hall was a guy in his mid to late 20s. He was skinny and tall. He said, "Oh wait, I don't think I'm in the right place." He genuinely seemed confused. I replied with, "Heck no, you aren't. Please get out." He apologized and said that he was coming to hang out with a friend and just accidentally went to the wrong place. I asked him what house he was looking for, and he said a number that was just a couple of numbers off from mine. He apologized again and left. He seemed nice and non-threatening, but I was still kind of spooked. This morning, I was ready to laugh the whole thing off. I was planning on telling my neighbor, who's a couple in their 30s, what actually happened. I don't know them all too well, but we have talked before. Luckily, I got caught up with one of them when I was taking my dogs out. I didn't want to come off like I was mad or scared over what happened, so I just casually said, "I'm sure he told you, but your friend paid me a surprise visit last night." My neighbor gave me this confused look and said, "What are you talking about?" "Your friend. He walked into my house last night thinking it was your place." My neighbor was quiet for a second and then said, "I don't want to alarm you, but I have no idea what you're talking about. We didn't have a friend over last night." And that's the end of the story.
Creepy. And then I accidentally hit the wrong thing and did some audio in the middle of that. My bad. It got like 2 lines in, or not even a line in. I was like, click. I was trying to click on a Word doc. My bad, guys. Yeah, that's the problem when you don't lock your doors and people randomly come in.
Right?
Always lock your doors, guys.
But like for the guy to say, "Oh, I was looking for this house," and then for you to talk to the people that live at that house and then be like, "Yeah, no, he wasn't at our place."
Oh, yeah. I've heard of the one
That's
guy
really sketchy.
that he slept on their couch. He just randomly came in and slept on their couch.
That's creepy.
There's just creepy people out there, man. Just doing creepy stuff. So I'm just going to do that one. All right. Okay, I put let's not meet for your wife.
Alrighty.
She wants anything true, creepy, encounters, dating, stalking, anything. Just she wants it creepy. Creepy.
All right, you want me to find that?
Yeah, because let's not meet is definitely still like it's at 71%. So I got one already here. So and then I'll do a glitch after that. So, all right, I'll do this one real quick, and then we'll do a quick switch again. Okay. There were 2 guys on my balcony with knives. By LB Box. How are we doing, fans of Let's Not Meet? I'm a huge fan of the subreddit, even though I never get on it, but I think this story will probably be worth it on here. Context. I live on the Fiji Islands back in 2016, and I was 14 years old. This story happened to my family, but mainly my mom lived it. It was on the 31st of October, and I was at my school for a Halloween-based party, and my parents and my little sister had gone to a family friend Halloween party. So the house was empty. My party finished at 9 p.m. and my dad came to pick me up, but dropped off my mom and sister at the house because of security alarm was ringing. Because nobody was home, my family obviously called the security company over, and they sent a van with 3 security guards. My mom opens the house and lets everyone in. They check the whole house and there's no one. My mom checks all the cupboards and under the bed with my little sister, who's only 12 at the time. The security goes outside in the garden and in the basement to check if there's anyone in there, and it's just an accidental ring. We do not have any pets as well. My mom turns on all the lights from the living room to the balcony. She starts opening the windows and the gates that protect all the windows to get on the balcony. But when she looks at the keyhole to put it in, she notices a flip-flop on the floor. She then looks closer and she sees 2 pairs of legs hiding really close to each other against the wall under the garden sofa. My mom yells out with all her lungs, "They're on the balcony! They're on the balcony!" and the two guys get scared and jump off the balcony into the garden. One of the guards grabs the guy, but the second intruder jumps on the guard and they run away, jumping over the fence and running into the forest. My mom regrets yelling that if she had came down and talked to the security guards quietly, the guys wouldn't have ran and probably would have been caught. My mom is crying, holding my sister in her side, telling her everything will be okay. The security then called the police, and they did report and describe the guys and started a search. The cops were here in minutes, and I live 100 meters from the closest police station. The guys who jumped lost a hat and a flip-flop and lost socks to use as gloves and 2 knives. Also, one of the thieves legit shit in our garden. Sadly, the guys were never found again, but 2 weeks later, my mom pulls out of the driveway, looking in the rear mirror of her car, and sees 90% sure 2 guys there opposite of the house staring at her. The short one had a new hat, and the other guy had a brand new flip-flops. When my mom drove away to the police station, the guys were gone and never to be found again. I got home with my dad to my mom and my sister crying. My dad was mad that he didn't stay, but mom had drank and could not drive. Like my mom saw them before she opened the window. Otherwise, I don't know what could have happened. Now, how did 2 guys get on the balcony? Well, it's going to sound stupid, but right next to the balcony, there was they were hiding. There was like 2 wooden poles linking with other weird planks. It's not to hang any closer or whatsoever, but just there. My dad asked the landlord to get rid of it, but the landlord did not want to. To give more about the pole thingy, me at 15 and 16, when I was already 6 foot, I could jump and climb onto the balcony because I did it to sneak out of the house to see my girlfriend at the time. I'm now 21 and live in Australia, and even though I did not live this myself, it really scared me because I was young, and now that I live alone, I check the entirety of my house and make sure my house is always locked, to the point I locked myself out of the house way too many times. And being a fan of these stories, my parents and sister moved on, but not me. That's the end of that story.
Wow.
Why'd they shit in the garden? People
Yeah,
are weird.
that part had me a little perplexed as well.
Don't shit in people's gardens, I guess? It's so weird.
Yeah, like I understand wanting to break into someone's house, steal their stuff, you're down on your luck or whatever, but don't crap in the garden. Come on, at least have a little self-respect.
0 self-respect here. It's not allowed. Apparently Evil needs a drink now.
All right, we're gonna start a drinking game. Every time someone craps in a garden, we take a drink.
It'd be probably like 1 drink. That's very rare. Like, I don't normally hear that one.
You haven't been on Reddit a whole lot, my friend.
Okay, I don't really
No,
pick
I'm
the
just kidding.
stories with the... I mean,
I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, technically there's something that shits in my garden every day, but I do have a dog, so...
Yeah. I just got fishies.
She's allowed to do that. Even though some days I wish I could teach her to use the toilet. It'd be so much easier. Less work.
Right? I have the same thoughts about my 2-year-old.
Well, you can train them.
It's hilarious. You can if they're willing.
Yes, if they're not willing, there is a problem.
No, I'm kidding. He's doing good. He's starting to potty train.
That's awesome.
He loves it. He sings a little potty song every time.
I can see that. I mean, to be fair, we do sing to our dog, go, let's go pee pee, let's go pee to our dog every time we're gonna let her out. So, I mean, I can see you that to kids too. Just doing stuff.
That's hilarious.
Everyone has their little
He got his song from Coco Melon. Yeah, no song equals no potty.
Must have potty. Must have song to have potty. I mean, I guess that's kind of for my dog too. Actually, we don't do it every single time, but most of the time we do. Unless it's the middle of the night, then we're like silent. Oh, that dog! I swear we could put a dog, like a dog house out there, and she would just stay out there permanently. She'd be so happy.
Yeah, a lot of dogs do tend to like it outside.
Well, she's also a husky.
I don't have any dogs. My parents' dogs, they love being outside. They're all inside dogs, but they love being outside. It's part of their nature.
Yeah, I'm just like, I just want to be inside where it's warm and not cold and wet.
Right.
It's warm in here. Why do you want to be out there? I know why she wants to be out there. She wants to go dig in the snow and have fun. Her snoot is
like, hey,
always covered in
snow. I don't have fur like you do, dog.
Yes, because she does look at us like, come on outside, come on, come on. And we're like, no, I gotta put shoes on and a coat and this and that. You just gotta go like that. Just go have fun. Enjoy your fun.
That is so funny though, because I can see it. It's like people are like, "Oh, dogs are so easy," you know. No, they're not. No, they're not. They can be just as stubborn as humans,
if not worse. If not worse, that dog, I swear, when she gets a stick up her butt or she runs to do something, it's like, no, we're doing this. Or she really wants a treat. It's like, no, I want a treat now. Give me a treat this second. But you haven't done any tricks. I don't care. Give me a treat. I am cute and adorable, therefore I deserve treats 24/7.
My sister-in-law has diabetes, so she has the smartest dog I have ever seen in my life. It's one of those trained, service dogs.
For low
and
sugar?
This dog, it's a golden retriever, and it is the smartest dog I have ever seen in my life. He can do every trick known to man. Like, I'm literally just waiting on the dog to bust out like human English conversation with me one day. That's how smart he is.
Good sir, your sister is not eating healthy enough. We must have a conversation about this.
Ooh, Jeffrey has a great question.
What do you think the reason why people go missing in nature parks and in the woods? Do you think it's because of cryptids, creatures, the supernatural, and the paranormal, or are there other reasons why? I think it's crimes of opportunity. It is very hard to find people in woods, especially if you're if you're going to be gone for a week and someone gets you right away, your prints are going to disappear fairly quickly, especially if it's raining or snowing. And it's just there's normally in national parks and woods, there's so much ground to cover. It's hard to find a body or a person.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. I definitely do agree with you on that. I do believe in cryptids and I do believe in things, so I believe some of it could be that. But I also believe a lot of like missing people in woods and stuff, a lot of it's inexperience as well. Yeah. You know, like they'll go out there, they'll not know how to read their map, or they'll not have the proper equipment or things of that nature, you know, and they'll go missing that way. So I think it's a mixture of all three
Yeah.
between like inexperience, crimes of opportunity, and I think that there is some cryptid stuff thrown in there as well, personally.
I've listened to a few podcasts where what they do is all they do is like disappearances in national parks, and I'm assuming a few serial killers use national parks as hunting grounds too, which would,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That would not surprise me in a little bit, in the least.
yeah, they're so big, especially like Canada and the U.S. The national parks are so big. It's just
Yeah.
land upon land upon land, right? So yes, and kidnapping as well. Yeah, it's just there's animal attacks, cryptid, supernatural, crimes of opportunity, inexperience, and freak accidents.
Yeah.
You're stepping, you think you have a good step, you end up slipping or falling. There's just they've even got like pictures of like the last time people have last seen them and then found them drowned later on and stuff because of freak things. But
Yeah.
so all of the above, and this is why I stay in my house. No camping for me. It's too scary. This is why I narrate these things, and I don't have to go into the scariness. The scariness comes to
Right?
me.
You can live vicariously
Yes.
through other people's experience.
You go do the scary, creepy, I'm probably going to die stuff, and report it back, and I'll narrate it to the scariest ability that I have.
I will never go missing in a park.
Just yeah. Actually, I used to go to parks all the time, like big parks. Because there's so many where I grew up, and they're beautiful, and I love them, and they're pretty, and I just always go in big groups.
See, the problem with me is parks require walking,
Yes.
and I'm not a big fan of that.
Fair.
Not a big fan of physical exertion.
I get
The only sport I play is golf,
that.
and that's nothing but riding around on a golf cart.
This is true. I mean, you can walk it. It's a good amount of walking.
Yeah, you can walk it if you're dumb. No, I'm kidding.
I've gone golfing a few times, and we couldn't afford we could afford everything but the cart, so we didn't get the cart. We just did the walking instead.
See, I go to the cheap municipal course that's in my hometown. It's like $15 for a round of golf with a cart. So
Oh,
it's not that bad.
yeah, that's dirt cheap. I think the cart alone at the one we used to go for work was like, I think it was $20 to rent it for the day. And a lot of the times we had to rent no, actually we didn't have to rent the golf clubs. That's right. But yeah, it was like $20. I was like, no, I'm good. I'll just walk.
Yeah, where I go, it's like $500 to get a membership, and that gives you unlimited golfing all year with a cart for free, except for that first $500 payment. Or you can pay every time you go and just pay like $15, like I said, and get an entire round of golf with a cart.
And that's so cheap. Both of those are so cheap.
Yeah, for a good golf course, and it's a really good golf course too.
Yeah, that's amazing. I've heard they're very expensive normally, but I guess it depends.
They
on the
are.
course.
They can be expensive. There are some golf courses that are thousands of dollars just to play around,
Yeah, I'm good.
and I will never go to them.
No. What you're gonna do the putts for me? Like, no, I'm good. Jeffrey also said a lot of people who go missing are never seen again, or no signs of them at all.
Yeah, and those are the ones that I feel like are either A, crimes of opportunity, or B,
Cryptids, yeah. And it's all about timing. Like, if it was like 2 seconds ago they disappeared and you don't see any signs, that's weird. It was a week ago and you're not finding any signs, well, there's a chance that nature took care of the signs that were there. because it doesn't take.
Yeah, the only one that gets me though is whenever they bring out like the cadaver dogs and stuff, and even the cadaver dogs can't pick up a scent. That's when I feel like there's something fishy going on, like
Yeah.
something we don't know about, you know?
And that could be either cryptid got to it or the person was not killed in said place and was taken somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for, of course, death. And if you bury a body 10 feet under a dog cannot smell that. Don't ask why I know these things. I have weird information in my brain.
I was watching a YouTube video. You reminded me of it when you said 10 feet under, the dogs can't smell them. I was watching a YouTube video. I think it was Am I the Jerk or Am I the Genius? One of those two.
Mm-hmm.
One of those like regular Reddit channels that just read regular. Well, they were doing unethical life hacks, and one of the ones that they read was if you ever kill somebody, make sure that you bury them 6 feet down, and then whenever you are filling in the hole, make sure to put some rotten meat 3 feet above the person that you buried. That way, when the cadaver dogs smell the body, the cops will just think that the cadaver dogs were smelling the rotten meat that is buried 3 feet down and not dig any further.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard of that one. The really weird one was when the guy was doing this like really normal story, like, hey, make sure that you're always cleaning your toilet. Also, if you kill someone, make sure you bury them 6 feet down, and then when you cover them, stop at 3 feet. Put like a dead animal there, and then bury 3 more feet. And it like comes out of nowhere. It was like a normal
Yeah.
and it's just like, okay, good news, good to
Yeah.
know.
One of my favorite subreddits is r/unethical life hacks. So good in there. Yeah, Jeffrey, I definitely think that that's a very, very, very valid hypothesis.
It is definitely. Yeah, I just. This is why you shouldn't go in the woods. If you stay not in the woods, you're good. And with how many stories I've read with creepy encounters and Let's Not Meet, how many like crimes of opportunity there are, it's just astounding. It just makes me like double check everything. I'm so paranoid when I drive home. If I see a car following me for too long, I will do circles just to make sure they're not
I've
following me
actually
home.
had, I've actually been chased by another car one time, and
Really?
that was really creepy. I've told that story on my channel on live streams.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I've luckily always been wrong every time.
Yeah, nope. There was one time that I wasn't. I had to call 911 while driving to work at 3 in the morning. It was scary.
What? Who the hell? Well, like you're driving to work, of course, but who the hell's on the road at 3 a.m.? And if they are, just go home, go to bed. You're grouchy. Go eat something. You're not yourself when you're hungry. I don't know. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is I always, like, whenever I do stuff like that, is know where your local police station is because that's a good place to start heading towards.
Right. Yeah, definitely know where your local police station is, and definitely like know how to get to a well-lit area very quickly.
Yes, and never pull over in the middle of the night in a non-well lit area, even when a cop is got their lights on you. Always make
And
sure
if you
it's well
do,
lit.
and if you do, make sure to share your experiences on Reddit. That way we can read your story.
Yeah. I heard of a cop pulling over a woman, and everything was a bit off, and he wanted her to like pull over to this not lit parking lot, and she's like, "No, I'm not moving my car," and she refused. So, and she realized later on when she actually could see their vehicle, they weren't driving a police vehicle. They just happened to have the lights on the top of their car.
Ooh,
So, yeah, it was definitely sketchy. So always and cops are supposed to wait until it's safe for you to pull over. But I've also seen cops fishtail people as well because they think they're not pulling over when they've got their hazards on, saying that I'm going to pull over. I just want to be in a safer area when I do it, especially on like the highways and stuff. It's so unsafe to pull over on a highway. Though in Canada, I don't know if they have the States, they have the slow down and move over law.
Yeah, we do here in the States as well.
Probably for the same reason. We actually have had countless cops killed from hit and runs because, you know, they're on the side of the road and the cops, or the cars are too close, and they just, like, they end up killing the cops who are just doing their job.
Yeah. Yeah, if they're in a 2-lane highway here in the States, then you have to get over to the other lane. And if you cannot get over into the other lane, then you have to slow down to like, I think it's like 30 miles per hour or 20 miles per hour, something like that.
Yeah, I can see that. It's we do kilometers here, so it's 50. Unless if it's on the highway, it's 70. But if it's on it tells you it's 70 on most of the highways here and 50 on some others. And then if it's on a normal street, it's 30 kilometers an hour, which I think is 50 miles, 30 miles, and like 50 miles, I think is how those translate.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, it sounds really fast to you, and when you guys say it to me, I'm like, God, you guys go so slow. You're doing 50? Psh, I'm doing 120.
Right. It's like that Quavo song. Like, I don't know if you listen to rap at all, but like, I listen to a lot of rap, and there's a song by Quavo. I can't remember exactly how it goes, but it's like something 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 a mile a minute. I drive a mile a minute, and like it sounds really good in the song, but then you sit and think about it. It's like, is this gangster rapper bragging about driving across the United States at the speed limit?
At 60.
Because it's 60 miles an hour.
Yeah, because that would be a mile a
Most
minute.
Most places on the interstate, the speed limit is 70 here.
Yeah.
So like, you're bragging about going under the speed limit.
Yes, he's bragging about going under the speed limit. He is a safe driver. He wants to make sure that he gets across America safely, and not cause anyone any harm. So he goes the speed a mile a minute, so it's fine.
Oh, my bad. It's by Migos, not Quavo. And it says, I'm on a mile a minute, I go a mile a minute.
When you start thinking, it's like, that's 60. That's not that fast. I mean, I've been to the States, so I know the highway speeds there, and every time I'm just like, 70, that's so slow. And I'm like, right, miles, not kilometers, miles. And most cars in Canada actually have miles on them, because a lot of Canadians at least used to, but I think still do quite a few go down to the States, so we had to have translating.
That's the same way it is here in America too. We've got like the big numbers are miles, and then there's like little numbers on our speedometers too that show the kilometers.
Yeah. Actually, my fancy dancy Charger, you can switch it to miles. So like it's got a big number on the front. So it does have a speedometer as well, but it has, like, it will tell you in big, nice letters how fast you're going, and you can switch that to miles as well. So that's very nice. I don't drive that vehicle, but it's very nice when I do end up driving that vehicle. But yeah, I've seen American cars and seen, like, the little itty bitty kilometers. I'm like, it's so small, I can't see it. And then I realize I can't really see the miles either. So when they're small.
Yeah. I don't even know how to do it on the Tesla. Like, I would probably have to go through so many settings to change it to kilometers.
Most likely, yes. It's got to be able to do that because there's so many Teslas up here too. I think I see at least 3 or 4 Teslas every time I'm driving around here. There's so many of them, and I'm like, your car's silent. My muffler isn't on properly. Vroom. I drive a really old car. I love like watching these Teslas and like passing them in a 98 Cavalier that's half rusted, just like, bye. Your car might be silent, but I make up for the noise for both of us. Don't worry about it.
That's hilarious. I
She,
just like the fact that I don't have to like stop at gas stations anymore.
yeah, but you have to stop to charge unless you've got a charger at home, of course.
Yeah.
It's a trade up. So yeah, you have to go get gas, but you have to go get power if if you're not able to charge at home. So, and not everyone owns their home or has a home that has those built in, because the rating on them is also higher too. It's a bigger voltage than average too, from what I remember. Charging.
Wifey says charging is 100% worse than getting gas, which I agree on long road trips.
Yeah, because
On long road trips, yeah, I'd much rather have a gas vehicle at this point. But like, just for day to day activities, driving around town and stuff here at home, it's amazing because you just plug it in at night. It's good to go the next morning. You don't have to do anything with it.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, that's the only thing that's like the biggest problem I have with electric cars is like, well, if you're ever going on a long road trip, you gotta stay for like an hour to charge, I think, from like almost empty. Might
Mine is only like half an hour
half an hour.
at a supercharger.
Okay. Okay. So that's not so bad. You could like charge your car and go get something to eat and wait for it to charge. So you could make it
Yeah,
2 for 1 basically. But the nice thing
yeah,
about a car like gas is like 5 minutes to fill her up and then you're done. But
right. To answer Jeffrey's question, I think the government hasn't told us about cryptids because the government doesn't know about cryptids. My personal opinion is that, and this is just my personal opinion, right?
mhm.
Don't cancel me over this opinion, anybody, but it's the truth. I think the government, no matter where you're from, is just like too stupid to actually keep a secret. So anything that the government knows, we know, and I think the government's just so stupid that they also don't know about stuff. You know, like it doesn't matter like who is in charge. It's just the government's not good at doing things. And like the biggest evidence of that is like, have you ever tried to like go to the DMV or file your taxes? Like, yeah, it takes forever. And they're just not efficient or good at doing things. So I just think that they don't have solid evidence of them either.
In the States, maybe. I mean, when I have to file taxes, it's super simple. But to be fair, I don't own my own business, so it's super simple for personal taxes. Businesses get more complicated, of course. But
Yeah, I don't know how all that stuff works
oh,
in Canada.
so the
All I know is like
states.
there's one dude in Canada who's running for prime minister that I absolutely love because he's like snarky to all the reporters and he's hilarious.
So the states, they have proven that um, big accounting firms have paid the government to make taxes complicated, so you would have to use
Hmm.
accountants.
Yep, it's the
So
truth.
it is. So that is why um, it's so complicated in the States. In Canada, it's it still has complications if you're like a business owner and stuff. But for the personal, like an average person who's just working a 9 to 5 job, super simple, very quick. You can do it without much hassle on it. But yeah, no, it's and what we call the DMV here is not so bad actually.
Oh. Well, that's good.
They're also like
Happy for y'all.
there's every province of course is different and stuff, so but every time I've had to go get my license or whatever, it's been super simple and easy. So
Yeah, ours is like, did you bring your birth certificate? You're like, yes, I did. They're like, oh, well, sorry, you brought your birth certificate. We can't do nothing for you. Or they're like, did you bring your birth certificate? And you're like, no. And they're like, oh, well, you should have brought it. And you're like, last week, yeah, the rules changed last week. So,
yeah, that's what's that word for that? That's democracy, not democracy, bureaucracy headaches, as I call those. where the
I think
bureaucracy
I
gets
think
in the way.
I think a lot of these cryptids. Sorry, I'm just talking to Jeffrey again.
Hmm.
I think a lot of these cryptids are very evasive, right? I think they're very good at being evasive. And I think that it's not that they don't know about them, it's that they don't have solid evidence of them, just like we don't have like very clear pictures of them or whatever. And I think it's because the cryptids themselves are so evasive and smart that they can avoid like being detected by things. Plus, I just think the government's not really looking. Like that they don't really care, so they're not looking.
I mean, they're not a threat, and they're not. So why would you look
Yeah,
at them?
that's
Uh,
kind of my thoughts on it.
did you want to read the next story?
Yeah, I can do that. I got one pulled up here.
Great.
It is entitled "He Was Dead and I Didn't Even Know It." About 5 years ago, I was living at home with my parents, and my twin brother was there too. Every morning at about 7 a.m., we would both head out for a run. We had mapped out this giant loop that we would run. To make it a bit of a competition, I would run it in one direction, and my twin would run it in the other direction. That way, we could run and stay focused. Part of this loop was on the main street of the city that my parents live in. On this main road, there were these shady apartments kind of hidden by a bunch of trees. The direction I was running, the view of these apartments were obscured by a giant hedge bush, and I couldn't see the apartments until I was right in front of them. Out of my peripherals, I see a woman standing among the trees, staring at me. I immediately get chills and do not turn to face her because I didn't want to be rude. So I run on and forget about this a few minutes later. I pass my twin about 10 minutes later. He's going in the opposite direction as I am. I get home, and my twin isn't back yet, so I go about the rest of my morning routine, including taking a shower. I get out of the shower, and my twin still hasn't come back yet, and I'm starting to get a bit worried. An hour after I had gotten home, he's still not back, and I call him. He tells me he's on his way, and he has something that he needs to tell me and my parents. He finally gets home and tells us that as he's running in front of these apartments, he saw a woman hanging from the trees in front of this apartment. As soon as it's obvious that he's seen her, a man comes sprinting from the apartments, wailing and screaming, "No, I can't believe she did this," and grabs her body and lays her on the ground and starts performing CPR. It's obvious he's her husband. My brother calls the local police and they dispatch an ambulance and police officers. My brother has to stay for questioning, as an eyewitness report and all that jazz. He's obviously troubled by it, since he was going the opposite way that I was running. He didn't have a hedge obscuring his view, and he got a straight on view of this woman hanging there. It's still hard for me to believe that the woman that I saw staring at me out of my peripherals was dead the entire time. I do, however, find it very sketchy that the husband came running out as soon as it was obvious that someone had discovered the body. That is a bit too convenient if you ask me, but I don't want to say that this man unalived his wife without any evidence. My brother has never followed up with the police, leading me to believe that the death was ruled as a self unaliving. I just still can't fathom that if I would have turned to face this woman, I would have discovered her about 20 minutes earlier than my twin had, and it deeply troubles me that I didn't.
That's such a creepy story. I couldn't imagine going on a run to find a body. Ugh.
Right? That's insane. And to answer Interscare wifey there, it's not that I don't think that they don't believe. It's that I don't think that they either A have enough evidence to like fully like say, hey, this is 100% real, or they just don't care enough to talk about it. That's kind of where I'm at on it. But I don't know anything. I'm just a guy on YouTube. None of this is legal advice. So,
Don't take this as legal advice. It's a bad idea.
matter of fact, if I say something, you should probably believe the opposite of what I say because I'm an idiot.
I mean, you've got Interscare wifey to marry you, so you can't be that bad of an idiot.
Well, she likes me despite my idiocy. I didn't get her to marry me. I tricked her into marrying me. That's what happened. I still believe that to this day.
Doesn't every guy think that? Or girl? Like, I tricked them into marrying me.
Right?
And we all have baggage. We all are a bit of idiots. Yes, they did. The alien stuff was weird, and that was, yeah. That was weird.
That was weird.
That's some, and even like some stuff coming out in 2020. I think it was 2020 or 2021 about aliens too, and everyone was really paying attention because the world was kind of falling apart instead. So it's like,
right?
I don't care about that stuff.
Yeah, what it was the CIA, I believe it was, declassified a lot of their information about UFOs and alien technology.
Yeah. I need to do some digging on that one of these days when I have time. So 50 years from now, I guess.
I read some of it. It's pretty interesting. Nothing really of note, though.
Yeah.
From what I read, I didn't read all of it.
It would explain some of the stuff, like how our technologies advance so quickly. Like the last 100 years, if you took the like start of the 1900s and the end, like 1900 to 1999, and you put one person from that era to the one person at the end, there'd be no recognizing each other. Like the technology has just.
Oh, I know.
And even like 2000 and probably 2100. The amount of technology is probably going to change from then is going to be astounding. Because, I mean, even in my own lifetime, I've seen how much tech has changed. Like, little me would not even dream the technology we have now. That's just normal.
Yeah.
So, it's just, technology's changed so quickly, and it would kind of somewhat explain how we've advanced in some ways. But
I also believe that there's a lot of lost technology, like technology that has been lost to time that we just haven't unearthed yet through our archaeology. Like things like how the pyramids were built. Know,
they have a pretty good understanding how those were built now.
Yeah,
they found well,
we just this year for the first time was able to recreate Roman concrete.
Yes, they figured it out was with volcano ash.
Yep. Volcano ash
it's self-healing.
And sea salt.
Yeah. And that's why it's still around, because it can self-heal with the sea salt. Like, so it.
But the fact that we just figured that out this year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it shows that there's more technology that's been lost to time that we just don't know about.
Welcome, Phoenix. The other one is, which is probably not a terrible thing that it's disappeared, is Greek fire. We do not know. We have an idea, but we do not know exactly how that was made. Not gonna. You know what? That being a lost technology, I'm okay with that one. And there's a type of steel we can't figure out how it's made. We have some of them, but they can't figure out exactly why it's so strong. Beryllium steel? I can't remember it. But yeah, there's a type of steel as well. We have lost technology, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's just it's interesting to think about like how much technology that we've lost that we don't even know that we've lost.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Well, we know we have lost a bunch with the Bronze Age collapse. That one severely made us lose a lot of tech. If that hadn't happened, I wonder how technically advanced we'd be at this point. But at the same time, there's so many things that, like, I love history, so I like look into this stuff. But they theorize because we had never farmed at such large scales before, and we didn't understand crop cycling, replenishing soils, and of course the Nile being self-replenishing, so it didn't die as fast. But the rest of the world, crops were failing, so you have hungry people who were escaping and running away to find places, because when a disaster happens, people rebuild. Well, if there's no food there, no one rebuilds. And the biggest thing is they found these cities and no one rebuilt. And they're like, okay, something happened here. Like, there was probably no food, the infrastructure fall apart. And the reason why, Egypt was very much like the guy brought you seeds. You were told when to plant them. You were told how to dig out your area. And it was very efficient. But the problem is when that guy doesn't come with the seeds anymore because the top has collapsed, you now don't have farmers who can make food. And they also contribute that to the collapse as well. It was just a bunch of things. They don't think hardly anything that collapses is one thing. Normally it's a bunch of things that causes a domino effect. I've listened to too many things about the Bronze Age collapse because it's quite fascinating.
It is. It's very interesting.
And the one thing I watched was they were so interchanged and all this stuff, and you're looking at our own world going, yeah, we're so interchanged too. But he's like, but the chances of it happening nowadays is very slim. We have so many backups. We're way more understanding of how things work now, that the chances of things, and the fact that the world is so interchanged, it was parts of the world that were interchanged at that point. So but yeah, I think we've lost writing too. Like, people couldn't write anymore because that's been a luxury, having literate people. And the fact that our world is so literate now is a testament to how advanced we've gotten. And the fact that we can send our children to learn math and literacy, all these things, because we now have the resources to do it, just shows how amazing our world has gotten now. Because even 100 years ago, literacy was still, especially for the lower class, was just rampant. You didn't need to know how to read. You just need to go to the warehouse and work. And if you lose your arm, well, I guess you shouldn't have your arm there.
Right.
So, I love history because I love how advanced we've gotten, how things have changed and moved, and I'm a weird person.
Absolutely. And if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it.
And especially with the Bronze Age collapse, trying to figure out what that happened, why the Roman Empire collapsed is quite fascinating. And it was power. Power got to people's heads, 100%.
Oh yeah.
And I think the last great emperor was Emperor Justin. I always think of Justin, but he's got an accent on the accent. I think he was the last really big emperor they had, and after that, he almost got everything back together, and then it all collapsed anyways because of the schism that they had. Yeah. Again.
That's really interesting.
I know a lot about history. Cannot tell you dates, cannot tell you times, but I can tell you broad things. I'll read one more glitch in the Matrix. You can pick what type of story you want after this, and they'll be your last one. Whenever you want. Okay, so 29 years ago, I jumped to a paranormal existence after a near-death experience. By Stripted Macron. Yep, that's how I pronounce it. Let me start by saying that this was a long time ago. My heart is already fluttering fast by telling this story. Only the closest to me know this happened until now. When I was 25 years old, I was driving home from work one night. I live in LA at the time. I was driving on Sunset Boulevard heading west towards my apartment in the Brentwood. For those that are not familiar with these areas, it's an extension of the Sunset near UCLA. That is very curvy. It was a 2-lane on either side with no shoulder. It was 8:30 on a Saturday night, so there was some traffic. I was driving along, and all of a sudden, around 50 feet in front of me, I saw a car, but I was looking at the passenger's door. A car had spun out of control and was horizontal in my lane. I didn't have time to stop. I looked to my right and saw there was a car next to me, so I had nowhere to go. I instinctively turned my car all the way to the right anyways. Once I had cleared the first car, I spun all the way to the left, still trying to avoid the second car. While all this was happening, I remember a time with my mom at Disneyland when I was 3. This is not a memory I ever had. I vaguely remember parts of the trip, but the memory was not one of them. I realized then that my life was flashing before me and I was going to die. I had never been so sure of anything. Every part of me knew I was about to die. I started screaming, and to this day I don't know if I vocalized anything or if it was just all in my head. I yelled, no, this isn't fair. I'm not done yet. All while swerving all over Sunset Boulevard. I suddenly stopped my car and I was now horizontal in the opposite lane of traffic. I looked around and there was no sign of a car anywhere. It was like everything had been wiped clean. I put my car in reverse and proceeded home. I did not see a single car the rest of the way. I was only 5 minutes away from home at this point, but Sunset Boulevard on Saturday night was completely empty. I got to my apartment and parked on the street. I didn't see anyone. While walking to my apartment, I came to the conclusion that I had died, and because I said no, I was stuck in some limbo. I never wanted my roommate to be home so badly. Unfortunately, she wasn't. I called one of my best friends and said, I need to ask you some questions. Please just answer me and I'll explain after. I asked her my name, my age, what city we lived in, and the date. Obviously, she was very alarmed. I explained that I thought I was dead and wasn't sure I was really on the phone with her. She tried to convince me that I was alive, that everything was okay. There was no way mathematically to escape it. There was no way for the car on the right to go. This moment has haunted me my whole life. There have been times when I was driving when I questioned my very existence. I've wondered if my life since then has been very detailed death trip and I'm actually lying on Sunset Boulevard bleeding out. After many years of meditation, spiritual practice, and beliefs in quantum physics, I wonder what life I jumped into.
That's insane.
It's actually no, it's not even the first parallel jumping one I've read before. Hey, Furberry Smith,
Yeah.
that is the first one I have heard where they almost died.
Yeah, that's absolutely crazy. That's mind-blowing.
I do have a theory that every near-death experience you did actually die, but you just jump into another existence where you didn't. So you just continue until you finally, of course, do reach the end.
That would be super cool if that's true.
Yeah,
that would be awesome.
It's such a weird thought, though. I don't know. The thought of...
Be like real-life Starfield.
Yeah. I've had a few...
Also, hello, Furberries.
I've had a few close life-death situations where I'm like, did I actually die there? And I'm just in the other form where I didn't die and instead broke my wrist.
Yeah, that parallel jumping stuff. That That really gets to me too, because like you can't disprove it at all.
No. And it every decision that you make, technically you can make either one or multiples. And what's to say
Yeah,
that one of you made the one decision, one of you didn't make the other decision, right? So it's quite that's one of the reasons I love Glitch in the Matrix stories, just because they're so odd and they make you think like, could that have happened to me? So, but I'm weird. I know I am.
definitely, definitely a very, very interesting theory, though.
I mean, I can't say anything. Nothing changed when I broke my wrist instead of dying. So it was. I've told this before. I was really young. I was bike riding down a hill, and I had those really bad, like, back brakes instead of the hand brakes, so you couldn't really stop.
Yeah.
I hit a tree and broke my wrist. But if I had made that turn, there was another turn I couldn't have made at that speed and would have fallen off a cliff and died. There's no ifs and buts. I've seen the cliff since. I would have died. There was no way of surviving that fall. So.
Wow.
Yeah, breaking my wrist was the best thing I ever did. Sadly, for some reason, we never went bike riding again after that. Can't explain why.
I wonder why.
No clue. I've said that to my mother. She just looks at me. I'm like, I've got no clue, Ma. Don't know why we stopped bike riding.
So you jumped into a parallel universe where they don't ride bikes.
Well, we ride bikes. We just don't bike ride together anymore. Mainly because I tried to off myself, apparently. Stupid gravity. If we could float, it would be no problem.
Right?
I always blame gravity. It's such a good thing to blame.
Gravity causes a lot of issues.
It really does. It really does.
It's caused a lot of the stumbles that I've made in life.
If you would float, it wouldn't be so bad. September says, I've never broken a bone in my body of the many accidents he's been in, apparently. Lucky. I've only ever broken my wrist. And it only hurts once in a very, very blue moon. I've got full function out of it. I don't even know how bad the break was, to be honest. I was very young, so. I remember falling asleep in the car as we went to the hospital.
Oh, wow.
I always fell asleep in the car. It took a really long time for me to get that out of my system to not fall asleep in the car when I got older. Because I was so used to it. Driving and falling asleep are not good combos.
Right.
Alright, did you want to...
That's when you blame Newton's laws for, equal and opposite reactions.
Yes, especially when there's cliffs involved. Because the highway had a lot of cliffs. I did not live...
Ooh.
I lived next to the ocean, so there's lots of, like, cliffs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to read
Yeah,
the
that
last
would not
story?
be good. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, go right ahead when you can.
This story is entitled, A Man Was Arrested for Stalking My Family, and his reason for it surprised even the cops. Written by Canuck Halloween. This happened in the winter when I was 10. I was walking to the bus stop by myself, and out of nowhere this red car drove past by me and stopped. I walked by it, and a man yelled, "Hey kid." I turned and saw this guy in his early 20s. He motioned for me to come, but I stood still. He then said, "I saw you coming out of 355 Terrence Road. Was that man your dad?" I had no idea how this person knew where I lived, and I got so creeped out that I ran away. I glanced back and was surprised to see that he wasn't following me. That night, I was finishing up some homework, where I had to track the phases of the moon. I went to my window and was shocked to see that same red car parked across the street. I quickly ran to my parents, sobbing, and I explained everything to them. I didn't say anything earlier in fear of getting in trouble. My dad called the cops, and they arrested the man on the spot. My parents went outside to see what the heck was going on, and the dumbstruck cop explained the bizarre story that the man had told them. The guy was a rookie private investigator that was hired by a wife who suspected her husband of having an affair whenever he visited the city we lived in. The husband gave his wife our address and told her that he was staying with a friend. When the police showed my parents the picture of the husband, they both laughed. The man didn't even remotely look like my dad. The only thing they had in common was their dark hair and light skin. The PI, quote unquote, was sobbing in the cop car, and my dad didn't press charges because he felt bad. End of story.
That poor PI.
Right? That poor family, like,
Yeah.
random dude. You're not a very good private investigator if you get caught by a kid and if you're like yelling at kids asking you to come here, like.
True. The only way it could have been worse is, hey kid, I got some candy.
Right? I got some candy if you tell me if that guy's your dad or not.
Yeah. Also, the husband is definitely cheating if he gave that address and he's not there.
Right.
The PI needs to be following the husband, not that address. He should have known right away as soon as he saw the guy didn't match. Apparently Furberries used to have a PI license when he worked for private security. Don't piss off Furberries. Okay. Go find all my skeletons in my closet. There's no skeletons there. I looked. He's barely too lazy. Fair Furberries. I get that. It's a lot of work, to be honest, to have to investigate people, and you need to have results to get paid too. So if you don't even get results, you don't get paid, which sucks. 100% sucks. But also, the person doesn't want to come like, I found nothing, and pay for that. So I read too many Dresden Files. It was a good series, though.
Mm-hmm.
Thought I just heard Lulu. Guess not. Alright, anything coming up in the near future on your channel that you would like to mention?
I already mentioned that I'm going to start streaming again at some point very soon, which is very exciting. Other than that, nothing really new or exciting. Just, more stories coming out. I release every Tuesday and Friday. So, yeah, make sure you go over to my channel and hit that subscribe button. I am only 202 subscribers away from hitting my 50,000 subscriber goal for the end of the year.
Oh, wow. That's close. You might be able to do it too.
I know. I'm at 49,798 right now. So I need 202 to hit 50,000. And my goal is 50,000 by the end of the year.
I don't normally do those goals because I just get disappointed too easily for myself. That's the honest truth.
Well, I just set this goal at the beginning of December because I saw how close I was.
That is fair. Yeah, I get that. I know people who, like, at the beginning of the year set, like, a reasonable goal, a stretch goal, and, like, an unrealistic goal, all to see what they can get. But I can't do that because I very easily go, I'm not getting anywhere near it. So I'm just happy when I get subscribers. That's why I'm happy. So yeah,
Right.
All his links are down below. The ones to his YouTube, his Twitter, which I refuse to call X, and also his website. So if you guys want to find him, he's right there. for you guys. And this Sunday for me is going to be Glitch in the Matrix stories for you guys, which I do once a month for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy them. If you haven't checked out 242 Slumbers, that would be great. If you're looking more for a sleep channel with rain sounds and the music being louder and mixing more with my voice. And one last thing, I have decided to change my music on 242 Reads. So if you guys are listening, please, if you comment, please tell me if you like the new music I picked. I thought I would try something a bit different since I've had the same music for about 3 years. So it's all my stuff. Alright, well, thank you everyone for joining us today. I hope you guys have a very good rest of your Friday, and I will see you next Friday. Bye, guys.
Good night. Good night, everyone.